Hi, welcome back to Wild Ace Outdoors. We're going to go over your two basic fly fishing knots today. There's a million videos on how to tie these, a lot of great videos, but I'm going to show you how to tie them like a guide. I get a lot of questions throughout the summer, not necessarily on what type of knot to use. It really doesn't matter that much, however you want to connect your tippet to your fly. What I'm going to show you is how to tie them very quickly. We're going to start with your cinch knot. That is your most basic tippet to fly connection. It's very simple. Very easy to do. So, first thing I see people struggle with is actually getting that fly threaded. So, to start out, a lot of times, I'm just going to straighten my line out there. If it's a highly maraboued fly, something like that, I'm going to lick my fingers. I'm actually going to comb that back a bit, right? And get it all out of my way. Then, I'm going to cradle that fly in my right hand. I'm going to make a small stubby end with my left hand. And then notice how my fingertips touch like this, so there's some connection. I'm not shaking a whole lot. Boom, a lot easier to thread that. Next, I'm gonna stick that hook point either in my ring finger or my middle finger. I usually like my middle finger. See how that leaves my two pinchers loose and wild? I can do whatever I want with them. That way, 1, 2, 3. If it was a smaller diameter line, you'd want to take it to 6, but this is 40-pound maxima. Boom, right there. That's all you need for your cinch knot. Check it a few times, make sure it's strong. Clip that little end off. It's a nice, neat connection. Very easy for smaller flies. Okay, next knot we have is our blood knot. This is just your easiest way to connect leader to tippet. And so what I'm going to start with is when you cross these over, notice coming from my tippet side, I always hold that in my left hand. I'm going to leave that just a little bit longer there. So you got your short side coming from your leader, longer side coming from your tippet. I pinch that where they come together in my right hand, and then this is my working side coming from my leader side, coming from my right. 1, 2, 3. Normally I would take that to 6, but I'm working with 40-pound maxima, so it's a little bit different. Notice how I cross that over, and then I reposition it again in my right hand. And so I'm never losing contact with that. So I'll give that leader side, my working side, just a little tug to give myself however much slack you feel like you need. 1, 2, 3. And then that leaves us a nice clean loop like that to thread it back through. Pinch those two sides, snug them up a bit, give it a lick. And then as those come together, one time, that's a really big line there, so it's not going to come together quite as clean. Work them down so it's nice and even. Notice how those both come out at a 90-degree angle. That is what we're going for, because instead of coming off on an angle like this at a sharper angle that can snag your fly, instead your fly will just ricochet off that if you collapse your loop a little bit. The other nice thing about that is, again, I left my tippet side the long side, so if I want to, I can put a large stone fly, bugger, anything on this at the very end of the tippet, and then I can use this actually as a dropper for my smaller nymph, and so that's bouncing it 1.5 2 feet off the bottom, whatever you want. It also gives a lot more movement. You can see then when that's trimmed down, take both those sides down. Maxima is tough stuff. I leave them just like that, so it's got a little bit of a tag hanging off just for strength in case that slips a little bit, but again, it comes off at a 90 as opposed to your surgeon's knot, so that way it bounces that fly off, minimizes tangles. The other nice thing about that, you saw the way I tied it. I'm never losing contact with that the entire time that I'm tying it. I've always got control of it in at least my right hand, and I'm not having to try to find that weird little small hole in the middle. Try to thread it back through. It's good when it's windy and rocking boat. You can tie it really fast. That's your basic blood knot.